right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. Let's see, what are we going to get up to today? This is our 19th world's most exciting classroom event for classrooms around Australia, New Zealand, and the surrounding area. It's also World Ocean Week. So through Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, we are hosting a ton of live events. Scientists, explorers, adventurers, and conservationists around the ocean. And that's our focus as well for our Darwin200 events this week. Tomorrow, we'll be going live for classes in North America, UK area, and we'll be highlighting some of our most exciting ocean adventures. So we're really looking forward to that one tomorrow. If we do a quick catch up on the ship, I can tell you that we have left Ascension. So we made our way from Cape Town to St. Helena. We spent about a week there with some young Darwin leaders coming on board and doing some conservation projects. Then we made our way to Ascension. We had to have really special permission because tourists are not able to visit, haven't been for a while. Only research vessels who get the proper permits. It took a little bit of work, but we were able to get those permits, and we had an incredible visit to Ascension. And maybe next week's event, I've got some amazing footage from some live stuff we did in Ascension. It's really, really special place. We were pretty lucky to be able to visit there with the Darwin200 team and the crew of the Oosterschelde. In fact, let me share my screen really quickly here. Let's do a quick update on where we are right now. We're going to see a few of these maps tonight showing us where different vessels are in places around the world. So let me share my screen. This should come your way right now, and you should see a familiar site, Darwin200.com. You can visit this site at any time, and you will be able to see where the Oosterschelde is right now. As I mentioned in our last couple of events, both of our Starlink units, we lost our maritime unit just outside of Cape Town, and then just as we were approaching St. Helena, our backup unit, our roam unit, went down as well. We're doing our best to get some new units to the ship, but we are in pretty remote areas, some of the most remote areas on the planet. So probably not until we get up here to the Azores will we be able to get another Starlink unit on board and be able to connect again. But we are looking forward to that. Of course, you can always click on the photos and see what's been going on, but you can see right outside here on our way to St. Helena, things went a little bit quiet on those updates. But there's Ascension, and you can see we're already making really good progress along the coast of Africa. And this will be our last stop, the Azores, for a week or so. We'll have Darwin leaders on board with new projects, new conservation action, and then we will make our way to Falmouth, and we'll arrive sometime around July 18th, wrapping up our 2-year voyage around the planet. So there we go. That's a quick catch-up, what we've been up to, where we are. And next week, we're going to really dive into Ascension, and I think you're really going to enjoy getting a chance to see that special place. So tonight we have a really, really special treat. It's always great to be able to connect live in the field, and it's great to connect with other people doing really cool things in the field, especially on the ocean. So we're going to connect with Craig Wood right now. He's attempting to become the first triple amputee to sail across the Pacific Ocean solo. So he has been sailing for a while. The plan now is to sail 6,000 nautical miles from Mexico to Japan on board a 41-foot custom-built aluminum catamaran. And we're pretty lucky to have Craig joining us live through the power of a working Starlink unit. So I'm going to grab Craig right now. Hey, Craig, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, Craig. It is so awesome to have you joining us live today. We're really excited to get to know you a little bit and then really get into this journey, which I imagine has been, I imagine it's been exciting, challenging. I imagine there's been highs and lows. So we're really looking forward to dialing in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to sharing it as well.
Perfect. Well, Craig, I think the best place to start is, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a bit, about you and how you came to this passion for sailing.
Yeah, so I'm Craig Wood. I grew up in a mining town called Woodlands in Doncaster. Not really known for being by the sea or anything like that, but every weekend we used to go to a lake, and that's where I learned how to sail and windsurf and do many other water sports. Then I joined the military, and I was unfortunately injured in Afghanistan in 2009 by an improvised my legs and my left hand. So I've got like at the minute my hand's broken. I usually have a hook there, and I've got prosthetic legs on as well. But when I was in the hospital, my dad gave me the Paralympic sailing development coach for the Paralympic fleet in England, and I emailed the guy training to become a Paralympian. Basically, my love for sailing was rekindled through that. A few years after that, I stepped on board a 50-foot ferro cement boat in Melbourne, and a new love was born there that I wanted to then sail around the world and try and visit pretty much everywhere that had a coastline. And I'm now 8 years in, 3 boats have gone by, and part of my journey whilst sailing, I wanted to get to Japan, and I wanted to break a world record as well. So an easy idea came that I would try and do it solo. I know that no other triple amputee is doing what I'm doing, so it'd be a world record in that sense. I just didn't know if it'd be a viable thing to achieve. But fortunately, I got a bit of backing, and I'm now 6,500 nautical miles into a 7,100 nautical mile passage, which has been lengthened somewhat due to a change of ports. It's currently entering typhoon season, and so I'm getting a little bit anxious about the weather as I get closer to Japan. But that's sort of where it all started, and anything from there we can build upon it.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Craig, I'm going to share my screen because we have a map here. I think it's always fun to be able to see, where you are and where you've come from. So let's get this shared here. Oh, whoops. I shared the wrong one. Let me try that one more time. I want the map, not the main page. Let's see. That looks better. There we go. So we should be able to see the map now. Let's go back in time here, back to Mexico. And let's start, right at the beginning. Why did you choose to leave for Mexico? And, what was it like to prepare for a journey like this?
Well, the preparation's been a 2-year slog, essentially. It basically meant lots of sponsorship. A substantial amount of money has gone into this. I needed essentially a complete new refit, and I bought the boat in Guatemala on the Caribbean. So basically, if you look at the V where Guatemala is on the other side of the map there, that's basically where the boat was bought. That's Rio Dulce, yeah, round about there. And I needed to get it all the way around to Mexico, because that would be a good starting point in terms of the winds that come down, because the winds like to run down the Baja California in Mexico and then swoop to the left. They're the northeast trade winds that you get. But as I say, I had to get the boat around there, and the boat was in no fit state to do any ocean crossing. So new sails, new rigging, new ropes, new batteries. I had to sand the whole deck down and paint it all again. Lots and lots of spares. So yeah, that took a whole of 2 years just to get it to Mexico and in a position where I was able to then set sail. Even up until the day before I left, I received a water maker and my life raft. Vital pieces of equipment up until the day before I left. And the reason I chose Mexico, ideally I would have chose a little bit higher up, but I didn't really have the time. It just sets a better angle of attack to go to go westward. And if you know anything about great circle sailing, is ideally between two objects on a circle is an arch, right? A part of a circle. I've done the opposite here. I've gone the furthest you could possibly go, because logistically, to go north, I didn't really want to enter anywhere near the Hawaiian high. There's a high pressure zone north of Hawaii that would have essentially stopped me in my tracks. So I did a very elongated W. Yeah, so if I'd have gone where you're pointing now, there I would have been in a very high pressure zone, and it's a whole different type of navigating that I didn't really want to play around with. So I taken the longer route, and I've been in more wind. So it may be the longer route on paper, but it's actually the quickest way, due to the wind that I've had. So yeah, that was the reason why Mexico, and yeah, and the preparation, yeah, 2 years, yeah, 2 full years of it.
And so, Craig, to get the ship from Guatemala, did you have to take it through the Panama Canal? Did you bring it over land? How did you get the ship over?
Yeah, I sailed. So from Guatemala, Honduras to the Caymans, Caymans to Jamaica, Jamaica to Isla Providencia, and then to Panama, and then through the canal, and essentially I've hugged the coast all the way up to Mexico. Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Well, let's take a look at the boat, Craig. I've got a little video here. We can take a little look at the boat. So just bear with me for a second. The video is going to take a few seconds to load, and then we'll take a look at the ship, and then we'll talk a little bit about the journey so far, and then maybe we'll turn the classrooms loose and see if they have any questions for us. So here comes the video.
It's getting closer to launch day. I better show you around. So here we are on the boat. It's an aluminium 41-foot Galileo. First of all, I'll show you inside. This is our home, so remember there might be some kids' things around. Normally this is a table. I lower it down and make it into a bed. This means that when I'm sailing, I can lay down here. I've got full field of view out of the windows, and I can get good rest. This is my nav station. This is where I do all my logs. I write down all my sextant readings. Here is my galley. This is where I'll be cooking and doing all the stuff. Check out some other videos where I show you exactly what I'm going to be cooking. This freezer is going to be loaded to the top with meat. Fridge. This is one of 2 EPIRBs. This is the one that's going to stay on the boat. All my switches are here. Back here is where I keep my batteries. Forward there is another cabin for guests. I built this myself. We can shower here. La 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 la. So under the nav station is Starlink as well. That way I'm going to be able to keep everyone updated on what I'm doing, talk to the wife and the kids. And thank you to NSSL Global for providing it. Let's go have a look where I sleep when I'm in a marina. This is our bedroom. You can see it's high. Even getting into bed for me is a challenge. Whoa! While you've caught me with my pants down, let's show you what I sit and look at while I'm on the toilet. All the things sailing on a single map, and or look at the fish out the window, which is also my escape hatch. Just before we head on up deck, this is the kids' room. It's full of toys, full of fun, full of adventure. We've got stars on the ceiling. When it's dark, you close it. 99% of my time I'm sat up here, monitoring the sails, monitoring our heading, making sure we're going the right way. This is my helm, this is our steer. Please turn my engines on, please tell me how much fuel are in the engines, and this is how I drive the engines. El Capitan.
All right, very cool. I bet it was nice to see your family there, your wife and your kids. I bet you're missing them, but I'm sure they're rooting for you and excited for you to make it to Japan.
Yeah, they're very excited to see me again and me see them as well. I call them every day though, so it's well, it's quite a long time away from them now.
Yeah, it's nice to have that connectivity because it wasn't too long ago that that would have been really difficult, but through Starlink connectivity, it's amazing how we can connect around the world now, even to the remote regions of the Pacific. If we look at the map, Craig, I know from reading a little bit about the journey that if you were having any issues, you might have made a stop in Hawaii, but it looks like things were okay and you cruised past. But I know you've been having an issue with one of the engines. So what's going on there, and how come that means you have to change your plans a little bit?
Yeah, so a engine works by compressing the fuel, and then it pops it out of the exhaust valve. But when you turn an engine off, that exhaust valve is usually left open. And then a hose from the exhaust that carries all the water goes out the side of the boat. And what it should do is it should have a big loop before it goes outside the boat. So any waves that hit the side of the boat where the exhaust is, it can't go up the loop. It just gets spilled back down. I don't have that. A massive oversight from my part there. I should have clocked that earlier. So my exhaust hose filled up with salt water, then back into the engine due to the exhaust valve being open. That's just part of how engines work. And so it created a thing called hydrolock, which means that water can't compress. No matter how much you try, you just can't compress water. So my engine's pistons couldn't move up and down. And due to the material that the pistons are made out of, they've now rusted to the cylinder bore in the engine. So the engine is completely seized. I've taken most of the engine apart. It just needs now lifting out and either fixing or replacing. I've had to change ports is mostly due to accessibility of mechanics in Japan. There's more mechanics in Hiroshima than there are in the other marina that I was going to go to.
Okay. All right. Well,
it does add a couple of 100 miles.
Yeah, and I think obviously you're relying on sailing, and there's limited fuel on board. The engines are mostly for probably maneuvering in port, right? So I guess things are going pretty well with the sail. And what's your best estimate for when you think you're going to arrive in Japan?
It's between now and maximum 20 days. So I've told my agent the 20th of June when I arrive. If I get a lot more wind, then it'll be sooner. If I get less wind, it'll be later. But yeah, I'm thinking around the 20th.
All right. Well, I've got questions coming in here via the chat for you, Craig. So let's take the map down and let's answer some of those questions. So Margot would like to know, to get the boat from Mexico through the Panama Canal to from Guatemala through the canal to Mexico, how long did that take you?
2 years. Yeah, from January 2023 till March 2025. So just a little bit over 2 years, actually.
Okay, so that was the preparation. Is that how long the sailing took?
No, and yeah. So if I'd have done it in a oneer, it would have obviously taken a different time. But we stopped in lots of different places. Okay. So I partake in a type of sailing called cruising, which means any anchorage I can find that's got a beautiful beach or something to dive on, I search for them areas. I don't do what I'm doing right now, which is consistent sailing over a period of days. Ideally, you get to a country and you explore all around that country. Of course. But fortunately, in Central America, there's lots and lots of places to stay. So our longest passage on that whole 2-year trip would have been 6 days from Jamaica to Isla Providencia.
Amazing. All right. So another question here. Troy would like to know, roughly how much does a sailboat cost?
Completely depends on the boat. This one cost me $225,000. My first boat cost me $80,000, and my second boat cost me $110,000. Completely depends on the size, the year, what type it is, what instruments it has on it. It's essentially like buying a car. You know, you can add all of these things to it to make it expensive or not, but it'll cost pretty much the same as a house. You know.
All right. Well, it is clearly a home as well, and being able to have your family with you, I'm sure, is pretty special. So Maisie wants to know, what's it like to have the kids on the journey? Do they enjoy the sailing and exploration?
Yeah, my son was actually born on a boat. He was born on the place. So yeah, he loves it. My daughter loves it as well. I think she gets seasick though. But they both absolutely adore being on the boat and around water, and they get to climb around the boat all day, swing off the ropes. My son likes to believe he's Spider-Man. I'm teaching them about, you know, more about the solar system and the universe and things, and how we navigate and stuff like that. So I believe they're enjoying it. But being only 4 and 2, you know, there's a lot to enjoy at that age, no matter where you are.
Of course. So Freddie wants to know, you know, we saw in the video that you spend a lot of your time at the wheel, but what are you doing when you're, you know, when you have to sleep? How does the ship keep going? And, you know, what's going on when you're sleeping?
Yeah, so my boat is equipped with a thing called autopilot, and that'll basically, it's a very sophisticated computer connected to a magnetic compass essentially, and that compass knows where my heading is. So right now I've got it set at 280 degrees, and that compass, if it changes anything, the computer will read that, and then it'll turn my wheel all automatically. So I can set that on, and then I set all the different alarms for the wind in case it gets too windy. I have a radar in case there's a big storm cloud coming, and I have a thing called AIS, which is it basically picks up other ships that are sending a signal around me that has about a 25-mile range. But with all them and with all that settings and alarms, it allows me to sleep a few hours at a time. So on a night time, I'll go to bed like you do, except I'll wake up every 2 hours, have a good look around, check all my instruments, and then I'll fall back to sleep. So just after this conversation, I'll probably be going to bed for a couple of hours just so I can keep the energy high.
All right. Let's see. George wants to know the favorite part of your journey so far.
The sun had just set and the full moon was out, and there was a rain cloud in front of me, and I saw a lunar bow. And I didn't even think this was a thing, but it's a rainbow it cast by the moon. So yeah, if you want to Google lunar bows or moon bow, it was incredible. It was a grey rainbow. And just amazing. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds really cool. Okay. Oh well, we've got this classroom is in South Australia, and they're already curious if you're thinking about your next journey, what your next journey might be.
So I do live on the boat for the majority of the time. So after Japan, we're going to sail south towards Okinawa, and then from there we'll sail to the Philippines, and I'll get some much needed boat work done in the Philippines. I can get the boat lifted out and have some yard time, as we call it. And then we're probably going to cruise around Asia for the next few years. We may even get to Australia at some point.
All right. Very cool. One more question for you, Craig. Food. What's your food like on board?
So today, for example, I'm going to have a 8-ounce T-bone steak. So I'm eating quite well. I made myself a pizza, homemade pizza. I made myself some bread so I could have a burger. I'm eating pretty good out here. And if I'm feeling a little bit lazy, I'll just make myself some pesto pasta or something like that, or some ramen. But yeah, it's usually meat, and then if I'm hungry again in the afternoon, I'll make some pasta or ramen.
All right. Sounds pretty good. And Craig, as you approach Japan, is there anything you have to do to prepare yourself or prepare the boat for your arrival?
The boat, not so much, but myself, yeah, I'll have to stop doing the sleep cycle that I'm doing. So I won't be able to sleep for 2 hours at a time because there'll be so much traffic.
Okay.
So out at sea, there's a lot of like missing, but when you get closer to land, all of the congestion of the ships gets a lot closer together, and there's a lot more ships there. So I'll have to basically sleep outside where the helm is, and be ready to dodge potential boats coming towards me, because not all boats have AIS, and there may be a fishing boat that doesn't have its lights on or something like that, or any type of unidentified floating object that I need to be able to try and counteract and avoid as best I can. So I'm going to be very sleep deprived the closer I get. So yeah, I'm going to really have to sup some coffee and try and do the best I can.
All right. Well, Craig, it's been such a pleasure to connect with you today. It's an incredible journey. Yeah, I mean, just sailing across, I mean, you just have to look at the map. I want to put this up one more time. You know, we call our planet Earth, but I mean, if you take this view, I don't see a whole lot of Earth. It is just a massive expanse of ocean. So what an incredible journey. And you're getting so close to the finish line. Craig, I know we talked about this before we connected, that maybe you might be able to give us a little ocean view before we say goodbye for today.
Yeah, let me climb outside.
Perfect.
1 sec. I'm just going to place you down, and then I'll stick my life jacket on.
Yeah, no worries. Beautiful blue sky.
Yeah, a bit of cloud, a bit of wind as well, which is good. And we're flying a lot. So safety first. Always get my life jacket on when I'm coming out. And yeah, let's get you a good view. That's me. And can I flip my screen around?
You might be able to if you go down to the settings, or you might just have to turn it around. That might be easier.
Yeah, I think that'll be easier. But yeah, I can. Around me is absolutely nothing but blue clouds and water. So that's how I get electricity on board, wind generation, and then I have solar panels. And then on the back there, I've had to jury rig 2 antennas. One of them I built myself, and the other one is just strapped to a windsurfing mast because I lost a antenna use. I don't know why, but yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
And Craig, we didn't ask you, what's the name of your boat, your catamaran?
My boat is called Sirius II. For the kids out there, that's more like Sirius Black. That means the dog star.
Okay, very, very cool. Well, Craig, again, thank you so much. Thanks for giving us a little topside view. Yeah, absolutely amazing. And we're pulling for you. I'm going to send a link to the classroom so they can follow you on the map for the rest of the journey. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you for the questions.
Awesome, Craig. Well, rest up, enjoy the rest of the journey, and yeah, we'll see if we can do this again. Maybe we can get some highlights of the whole trip, the whole expedition.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thanks so much, Craig. We'll see you later.
See you later. Bye.
All right. Well, that was very cool. yeah, we weren't able to connect with the Oosterschelde. So I thought it'd be pretty fun to connect with another sailing vessel in a completely different ocean. So we're in the Atlantic Ocean right now, and Craig is in the Pacific, making his way across that ocean to Japan from Mexico. Pretty amazing. Well, we have a couple things to do before we wrap up for tonight. We've got some experiments to take a look at, and then we'll have a brand new curiosity. So let's get right into it. So a couple weeks ago, our experiment was looking at candles and how we could extinguish candles without touching them, without covering them, and without blowing on them as well. So I have the results for that experiment queued up here. And then I've got a cool video one of our classrooms sent in to us of how excited they were when they did the experiment in their classroom. So bear with me for a moment while I queue up the video from that experiment. And let's take a look at the results from our experiment from 2 weeks ago. Here we go. First is to think about our experiment from 2 weeks ago. We had a really cool experiment. In fact, it's easier if I just show you about a 30-second clip. So to remind you of that experiment, let's see, results. This is the right one. Let's take a look. So you can see I had a mason jar with some baking soda. I added some vinegar to it. You see there was a reaction immediately. We had those fizzy bubbles. I had 4 tea lights with me, and I just ran it over top. I didn't pour anything out. I just ran it by. And slowly, one by one, each of those flames extinguished. So your job was to think about it and figure out what happened. So when we did that reaction, we got a chemical reaction when we mixed the vinegar with the baking soda. That one of those products produced was carbon dioxide. So when I tipped over the jar, I didn't let any of the liquid come out, but what was able to spill from the jar was that carbon dioxide gas. And so as I ran it over each of the 4 candles, that extinguished each one of them one by one. The lack of oxygen, the heavy carbon dioxide, it extinguished each of those candles. So that's what we saw. We saw a reaction with the vinegar and the baking soda. It produced carbon dioxide, and then I carefully let that carbon dioxide gas spill from the mason jar, and that's why each of those were extinguished. Okay, so there we go. That is what happened there. We weren't blowing on the candles like you would normally do. We didn't cover them like some people do. We did a reaction. So we mixed the vinegar with the baking soda. There was a chemical reaction, and one of the products produced was carbon dioxide gas. So when we ran the jar over top, none of the liquid spilled out, but the gas was able to move freely. And that is what extinguished each one of those flames. And our crew in South Australia, let me grab a little video clip they sent to me. They tried it out as a demonstration for their classroom. And as you will be able to see, they were pretty excited about the results. So let's play this here.
Yep, hold on that side, go over the candles, keep going.
What? What kind of magic is it? It's... That's it. Oh!
Give her a clap.
All right, very, very cool. We're going to have to send a gift card their way because that is a pretty awesome video. So thank you for sharing that with us this week. We're going to have to do a brand new experiment because, yeah, that's what we like to do here. I am going to share my screen and we are going to see that brand new experiment now. So bear with me while it loads and let's see what we're going to get up to.
Welcome back, everyone. Have you ever dropped a chicken egg? If you have, I'm sure you've noticed how fragile they are. They're so easy to break and make a terrible mess. Well, in today's experiment, we're going to turn your normal chicken egg into a rubber egg that you can drop or even bounce. Chicken eggs have a shell made out of calcium carbonate. This is the same compound that makes up our bones. but calcium carbonate reacts with acid. So it's quite easy to remove the calcium carbonate from an egg, leaving just the yolk, the white, and the outer membranes. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this experiment. I've prepared 4 eggs. 2 are raw and 2 are hard boiled. Let's put our hard boiled eggs, which I've marked with an H, so remember which one is which, into 2 beakers, and 2 raw eggs into another 2 beakers. We then have to add an acid liquid. I've chosen white vinegar because this reacts strongly with the calcium carbonate shell of the egg. All you need to do is cover each egg. You don't have to be too precise with the amount of vinegar, but each egg must be fully submerged. Look at the little bubbles already coming off of the eggs. This is the calcium carbonate of the shell already reacting with the vinegar. I have a feeling all of these eggs are going to lose their hard shells pretty quickly. For a final step, if you want to, you can add some food colouring to turn your rubber eggs a different colour. I'm going to add a bit of red to this one, a bit of blue to this one. Give that a little mix. And this one a mix too. And let's try yellow for this one here. This is one of my uncooked eggs. Give that a quick mix. And last but not least, let's try and make this other uncooked egg green. You then have to leave all of the eggs for about 48 hours for the shell to completely dissolve. Join me in 2 weeks' time to see the results of my experiment, and let's find out if my eggs have turned into rubber eggs. Good luck in replicating this experiment, and see you next time for the results.
All right, so there we go, a brand new experiment for you to try in your classroom or try at home. We always try to pick experiments where the materials aren't too difficult to come by, things you can get into the classroom or things that you can find around the house. You can go back to the Darwin200 YouTube page and rewatch the experiment if you need to, under the playlist for the world's most exciting classroom. And yeah, you have 2 weeks to give that a try and see the results. You can try with some regular eggs. You can try with some hard-boiled eggs. You can try with different colors in the water and vinegar and see what happens and what the results are if you're able to make your rubber egg. So, of course, we'd love to see your thoughts on what you think happened to the egg, and then pictures. We love pictures. We love video clips. We love to see classrooms in action. So 2 weeks to give that a try. And then you can send your results to classroom at Darwin200.com. So results to classroom at Darwin200.com. Okay, very cool. We also have the experiment from last week. You still have 1 more week to give that a try. If you remember last week's experiment, you needed 3 bowls of water, 1 with really hot water, not so hot that you'd burn your hand, but pretty warm. Then you needed really cold water. You could add ice if you wanted to. And then in the middle, just regular tap water. And the idea is we want to mess around and trick our brains. So you want to put your hand in the really cold water, the other hand in the really hot water, leave it there for a little bit, and then put your hands into the middle bowl with the kind of room temperature water, and then see how it feels. See what you think after you do that. See if you're able to trick your brain. So still 1 more week to give that a try. And we'd love to see some clips or some images from your class giving that a try. So the last thing we have to do is our curiosity of the week. Last week's curiosity, I showed you the curiosity. I had it here in my office, and I still have it here as well. We had lots of good guesses come in. Guesses like maybe it's a piece of wood, maybe it's a piece of pottery or something like that. but no one was able to guess. We stumped the classrooms on what this was. So I gave you a few clues that it was kind of smooth and white on the inside, a little rougher, dirty on the outside. Trying to remember the other clues that I gave. I don't know if I gave a clue that I think might have given it away, that it was from a living thing. But I also did say it was a fragment of something that was larger, and it was pretty old. So what this is, believe it or not, this is part of a mammoth tusk, a woolly mammoth tusk. So the tusk would obviously have been much, much larger. This is just a fragment piece that was found, and this is from Siberia, is where this piece was found. It is 20,000 years old. And to get a little more specific, it's from the Yamal Peninsula in Siberia. So that was our curiosity from a week ago. It is this piece of a woolly mammoth tusk, which obviously would have been part of a much, much larger piece. And then it's still got that nice kind of smooth bone feel on the inside, whereas the outside is dirtier, was exposed to the elements. This part in here was more protected. So that was our curiosity, part of a woolly mammoth tusk. And we're going to have a brand new curiosity here. I have this one in my office with me as well. I'm going to describe it a little bit for you. Maybe I'll give you a couple hints. It is kind of a nice, shiny object. It is very smooth. It's kind of a pale green color. I'll get a little closer to the camera. I don't know if that's going to help much. What else can I tell you about it? It is not a piece of glass, so I'll give you that clue right away. This is not man-made. So there's a pretty good clue. And I'll give you another clue. It came from Mexico, so maybe that'll help. It came from Mexico. It's not man-made, so it's not like a piece of glass. It's very smooth. It's a pale green color. Yeah, that's kind of the hints that I'll give you. You can always take another look at this. If you go back in time to our YouTube channel and look at today's event, so this will be number 19, World's Most Exciting Classroom, you can take another look, do a little bit of research. Again, one more time, it is not man-made, from Mexico, pale green, really smooth, and pretty heavy. It's got a little bit of weight to it. So there we go. That's our curiosity for this week. Send your best guesses to classroom@darwin200.com, classroom@darwin200.com, and we'll see what our classrooms come up with. So there we go. That is where we're going to leave it for today. Next week, we will connect again. We'll have curiosities. We'll have experiments. And I think that we will... Well, maybe classrooms can send me a vote. If you were tuning in live, if you catch the YouTube channel, send me your idea for what you would like us to do at classroom@darwin200.com. I have two cool options. One, we were just in Ascension, and we have some amazing footage and material and stories. We had a surprise visitor, some guests turn up in the middle of our live Ascension connection. So we could check that out next week. Or just yesterday, we had a live event from the beach in California, and we were on the beach with a huge group of elephant seals, learning all about elephant seals and science and research. So we're going to make it a classroom choice. If you would like to explore on the beach with elephant seals, or if you would like to do the Ascension clip, where we will visit Ascension Island. We'll have our surprise guest, and we'll look at just some incredible footage from Ascension, which I think you'll really enjoy. We're probably going to do both over the next few weeks, but you can pick next week which one we will do. So a huge shout out to the classrooms who joined us today. And as always, we're going to end with a shout out to our sponsors, supporters, and partners, without whom we wouldn't be sailing around the world, hosting the world's most exciting classroom, bringing young Darwin leaders out to the ship in each port, or conducting the research we've been doing with scientists and explorers from the Explorers Club all over the world. And I'm hoping a couple weeks from now, we'll get to meet Mariana, who is our current researcher on board. but we haven't been able to host her yet because our Starlink units have been not cooperating. So I hope everyone has a great week, and I look forward to seeing what we get up to in next week's World's Most Exciting Classroom. I can already see a votes come in for elephant seals, so we'll see what comes in via email as well. And then, yeah, we'll get in on the action next week. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we are going to sign off for now.